Good evening, fans, and welcome to Backfire Simsport TV. Tonight we bring you the Simability V8ESC League Season 15, Round 14 from MotorLand Aragón. I'm Clyde Whiting, and in the booth with me tonight, it's the Dodgy Toe himself. It's Tyler Newitt. Good evening.
Hi, Clyde. How's it going?
Not too bad. And on your cameras, it's Miss Anne Boozin. Good evening.
Good evening, Clyde, Tyler, and everybody watching.
So, tonight we have an endurance race. It's 90 minutes long. There will be pit stops. It's different to our usual two-race night. Now, I did admit to Tyler earlier on that I know absolutely nothing about this track. Although I was racking my brains trying to think who it was. Somebody described it as a European Cota. Is that fair, Tyler?
I mean, yeah, it's one of those. Like I said, it's a fiddly Tilka track. Lots of paved runoff and needlessly tight corners, and I can't say I'm particularly fond of it as a track, nor am I particularly fond of Coda. So I guess in that regard, they do line up pretty well.
Yeah, and obviously there was the session was initially set up with the GP layout, and there were calls to change it to the motorcycle GP layout. What's the difference? Anybody know?
It's just the last corner, basically, or last series of corners. Jamie Wilson was complaining about it in our interviews at the last race because he thinks that the moto layout takes away a passing opportunity, but it's a lot more fun to drive because it's a nice flowing left-hander to finish off the lap instead of a ridiculously tight hairpin corner, and then a bit of a right-left juke that the GP layout has. So as far as I know, that corner is the only one that's different. I think they both have the bus stop chicane that kind of cuts out the big long back straight that you can use with some different layouts. So yeah, it's a bit better for the drivers, but as far as the racing, we'll have to see how passing goes.
Okay, well, after tonight, we've only got 4 rounds left this season. In the Simability Cup standings, which are the overall standings, Simon Trendle leads the way. Bob Woodhouse is second, and Ant Woodward is third. In the team standings, NQR Europe lead the way with Team Chimera second, and NQR North America in third. Driver of the meeting is led by Ant Woodward, and there are a number of drivers just behind him, including Tyler. But he's not going to get driver of the meeting, sit in the booth. In the Safe Driver Award, Rob Venn leads the way, Simon Trendle second, and Rich Jameson is up there in third. And the Forever Forward Award, Bob Woodhouse leads the way with Ant Woodward second and Simon Trendle in third. So, Tyler, a 90-minute race. The drivers have had the incident limit raised to 20, so no drive-throughs until they get 20 incidents. We saw in practice that I think Stacey Boyd was right up there and doing well. Who have you got your eye on tonight?
Yeah, it was the current top 2 in qualifying, top 2 in practice, just flipped order. It was Stacy and Rob Woodhouse, unless there was a late change that I missed. But yeah, Rob's been quick pretty much everywhere this season, been near the front of the NQR cars on any given weekend. So have to imagine he'll be pretty quick. We know Simon is quick everywhere. So he'll be up there, even though he wasn't near the very top in practice. So yeah, I think it'll be probably the usual group, but the beauty of this league is that the usual group of front runners is about 7 to 10 cars deep, so
Yeah.
it's tough to pick from that bunch.
Yeah, that's very true. We've got a new driver tonight in Gerard McKinley, who has just signed up to the league. I think Gerard said he's from Northern Ireland. So welcome to the league, Gerard. I hope you go well. And I think as you quite rightly say, Tyler, it's quite difficult these days to actually pick a winner. In past seasons we had people that really stand out. Going right back to the start where it was Tony Kloosterman, and through Johnny Brandons, and recently it's been Simon Trendle. I think this season, especially, I think everybody has really stepped up, and a lot of the wins and losses this season have been down to strategy. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I think, and I've mentioned this in a couple of the broadcasts that I've done, but the shorter races have really kind of blown the strategy doors wide open. It used to be just about as clear cut as you could get. You pit as soon as the window was open for the undercut, and occasionally you got a little variation in the endurance races where there you could stay out maybe a lap or two longer and get a bit of an overcut, but really for the longest time it was undercut or nothing. Woo! As Gerard goes for a bit of a slide there, but yeah, I think that the shorter races have really made the overcut a viable option if you have the track positioning to make it work and the pace to make it work. So I think it'll be really interesting. I honestly can't say I remember how the last Enduro played out, but it'll be quite interesting to see the variety and strategies here. We know that Simon is a master strategist and also ridiculously quick, so that kind of sets the gauntlet for the rest of the field. But there's plenty of capable drivers who can challenge him today.
Yeah, and I've said it before. I'll say it again. I really enjoy the endurance races because it, just for me, I genuinely have no idea what's going on until everybody has done their pit stop, and all the positions shake out. And the way that the racing has gone this season, just because after the pit stop, the drivers are in a particular order, it doesn't mean they're going to finish in that particular order. We've seen, as you rightly said, the undercut where drivers have had better tyres at the end of the race, and we've seen them slicing through the field. We've seen drivers do the undercut and hanging on at the end with next to no tyres left. We've seen the front drivers take themselves out of race, and somebody from lower down sneaking through and winning race. So we've really had a bit of everything already this season, and including tonight, we've still got 5 races to go.
Well, and you even missed last round. We saw the no stop from Simon Trendle. So, I mean, really, it has just been absolutely, wide open as far as the strategy options. And, we spotted it a little before everyone else had cycled through the pit stops. And even then, we didn't know whether it was going to work out for Simon because the cars that had stopped were catching quite quickly. So, yeah, I think it'll be a lot of seeing what happens, and once we think everyone's made their, as you said, once we think everyone's made their final stop, it's going to be then we might have an idea of how the race might shake out. But as you said as well, we've seen leaders take themselves out of races late in the running multiple times this season, so even then it's not necessarily a done deal once all the pit stops are done.
Exactly. So, all I can do to the folks at home is it's not over until it's over. It really is one of those types of seasons. So, in qualifying, currently Stacey Boyd sits on provisional pole with a 1 minute 50.643. Bob Woodhouse is second with an 848, and championship leader and current series champion Simon Brendel is in third with a 940. Interesting that let's just pick on Stacey. Nearly half a second down from his fastest lap in practice, Tyler.
Yeah, it's how it goes sometimes with these cars. It could be that the conditions change from practice to qualifying, but it could also just be, you've got an hour to really lock in practice, and you've got 15 minutes to do it in qualifying. So, you just kind of have to put it all together. And yeah, it sometimes is difficult to do the time that you did in practice. The interesting thing to me is, with this being a parking lot tilkodrome, you get a lot of risk of off track. And I was just kind of checking. It doesn't look like too many drivers have had a ton of off tracks and potentially laps invalidated. But what we just saw there with Stacey, I'm pretty sure. Well, he's keeping the tire on the curb, and this is one of those tracks with the custom off tracks, I think. So might be okay for him. He's still pushing like he's on a lot. No, he's bailed out now, so probably was an off track somewhere in there, and that'll be something to remember for these drivers too. We may see drivers down the order in qualifying who actually have quite a bit of pace, but couldn't keep the car between the white lines, and there's always the chance, even with the increased limit, we might see some drive-throughs before this is over.
Yeah, I've just been looking through a few of the drivers that are out on track, and it's something I've noticed is it looks very easy in certain areas to snatch a break. And we know how quickly these cars can go round if you do snatch a break. Sam, just going to bring you in for a second. Do you have much experience of this track?
Absolutely none.
So,
I think
so that's two of us.
I think I did a few laps last season on the previous one, but not much. I didn't race the thingy in the end, so I can't tell you how hard it is to drive. If Tyler doesn't have any info about it, I don't have either.
Well, I think we'll be bowing to Tyler's superior knowledge, hoping that he's done at least one lap around here in something. So, yeah, it doesn't look. So I've been on board with a couple of drivers. I think, as Tyler said right at the start, it looks technical. There does look like some turns that you look at them and go, do you know what? You should have just left that alone. You could have gone a bit straighter for a bit longer. But I don't. Tyler might correct me here. It looks like there is some overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, and I have done a race here in the V8s. I could have sworn it was a league race, but maybe not. Not sure where Alex is going there. I have done
for the exit.
Yeah, I have done a race here in the V8s. I would say it's a track, and this is true of a lot of tracks in this car, but it's a track where you can really trick yourself into overdriving. There's a lot of corners that lead into other corners, and you can really put yourself in a bad spot by trying to maximize and brake as late as possible when really you'd be better off actually backing the corner up a bit to set up the next one. So that does give you some opportunities to get alongside if somebody overdrives a corner. I do think there aren't a ton. It's a lot of those 90-degree left and right handers with a sausage curb right on the apex. So can't really go too wide through a lot of those. So I would say it is not the easiest track for passing, but there should definitely be some opportunities for these drivers. And With these endurance races, of course, there's always the opportunity to make a pass in the pit sequence. So I think that'll be what most of these drivers are resorting to until we get kind of towards the end and you have to start making the moves on track.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that, and I would also throw into the mix the caliber of drivers that we've got. Sometimes it works in our favour from a commentary standpoint, in that the drivers make overtaking opportunities that shouldn't really be there. Sometimes it works against us in that as much drivers are great at overtaking, they're also very, very good at defending and putting cars in positions where the car behind can't get past them. However, there are things to consider, like pit stops. And are we going to see drivers fuel saving, some fuel saving, some not fuel saving? The mistakes that Tyler was just talking about, it does look fairly simple to make a mistake around here. Pick up off tracks, may get a drive through. Yeah, I don't know. When I looked at this track earlier, I looked at it and I thought, do you know what? I don't know if this is going to be a spectacle. But the more I think about it, the more tracks of this type with a car like this and drivers of this caliber can turn it into an absolute crack of a race. But we are nearly at the end of qualifying. Alex Lado has popped himself up into second place. I think checkers are out. Maybe, yes, I can see Barney waving furiously down the end of the pit lane there. So any drivers on a lap get to finish it because it's not a double header session. And then after that, we'll go through the grid and we'll be getting ready to race. So 23 degrees at the moment. The track. For everybody else, that is 80 degrees Fahrenheit I'm showing at the moment. Not a lot of wind, but we will be gridding very shortly. Let me just do the grid set.
Yeah, and once you do that, the track time just bumped to 38 degrees.
Oh, so it has, yes. How did that happen?
We switched to race, so that's what happened. So good luck to the drivers.
Yeah, but I'm still showing 81 degrees Fahrenheit, which certainly isn't 30 degrees centigrade. Anyway, that's iRacing. Your pole sitter is Stacey Boyd for Nova Motorsport. Alex Sevillano Aledo goes off second for Hydra Race Racing Boys. Bob Woodhouse is third for NQR Europe. Simon Trendle goes off fourth for Team Chimera. Tony Clusterman is fifth for NQR North America. And Bram Dubois is sixth for NQR Europe. David J. Burns, his team always comes up as Scotland. I'm sure that's not right, but he can be Team Scotland. He goes off seventh. Vincent Skilbeck for Wheelie Bins Mayhem Public in eighth. Nikolai Bogotyrev for Simability in ninth. Jane Wilson 10th for Team Chimera. Jeff Saunders for Grumpy Old Blokes in 11th. And Gerard McKinley for GMKR goes off in 12th for his first race. And Woodward, terrible qualifying for Anne in 13th for NQR Europe. Stability's Glenn Sidman in 14th. And Rich Jameson for Rich Jameson Racing goes off in 15th. So
and it looks like there might be some accusations of Team Chimera bribery, Clyde, because we've got a rolling start here.
Oh dear. I know exactly why that has happened. That will be because when I went back into it, I will apologise to the drivers now. When I went back in to change the track, I forgot that a lot of things reset.
Yeah,
So I'm going to take that apology back. If you hadn't have asked me to go in and change the track configuration, this wouldn't have happened.
It will benefit the Chimera cars certainly, unless Simon is doing a fuel save from the beginning like he did last time. But yeah, I did see Ant Woodward having some connection issues. I'm not sure if that's related to his qualifying or not. But as you said, that's quite a ways out of position for where Ant's been this season. He's been right up there with his NQR teammates most of the time.
Yeah, I do hope that's not a connection or hardware issues for Ant. I really do hope he's just rubbish, because I think connection and hardware issues are more frustrating than not being able to drive the track. Personally, you can plug away at learning the track, but sometimes there's not a lot you can do with connection or hardware problems. So, evening to Alan Doon on the chat says, good luck, folks. Welcome to Gerard. What a race to start with. And Alec Wando says, come on, Similano. Alex is always one to watch. Sometimes...
Yeah, it's a strong qualifying effort by Alex this go around. Stacy's been quick. We saw he led practice, but looked like Alex was having quite a few issues with off tracks and the like. So good he was able to put a lap together in qualifying. But yeah, given the practice that I saw from Alex, it might be one to watch for one of those drive-throughs we were talking about late in the race.
Yeah, I'd say Alex is a fantastic driver. Sometimes a little bit too fantastic for his own good, but other times shows amazing car control. So that's going to be interesting. I think Stacey will probably have his hands full right from the start, because sometimes getting the places at the start is where you want to do it. I'm sure drivers like Gerard will be pleased that it's a rolling start and not a standing start. We did many seasons ago used to do rolling starts for the endurance races. So we won't call this an error. We'll call this a throwback race.
Yeah, no, they head down the long back straight. Although, like we said, it is intersected by the bus stop chicane here in this configuration. But I know this track is used a lot by Le Mans World Endurance Championship teams because as far as long straight sections go, it's tough to get anything close to Le Mans, and this is one of the few tracks that has it. If you don't have that chicane in there, you can just run straight all the way down to the hairpin and really test your car out for top speed. So I know the one fact I know about MotorLand Aragón, and probably the only one.
Okay, well, we're getting ready to go green, folks. Get ready for the noise. And we're green. And we're immediately going 5 wide, 4 wide.
Yeah, it was a poor jump for Bram, and that opened the door for... it's Vince again. Oh, dear. He's been having a rough go of it, and that's tough.
Didn't quite see what was going on there, but...
and blue on blue here.
Oh! Who was that spat out?
That was Ant Woodward and Bram coming together, and Ant got the worst of it. It was one of those two who got into Vince, but I missed if there was another car involved on the inside. They were certainly 4 wide for a stretch there, and I think it all just compacted into the first corner.
Yeah, we'll let this first lap shake down, and then we'll see what Sam can find for us.
I suppose the good news for Vince is he's got a lot of time to make it up, unlike when he had a similar first lap incident at Long Beach and only had the 40-minute race to make it up. He's only 8 seconds off the lead as it stands, and he's got a solid hour and a half to claw that back. Same with Ant. He's a little further back, 11 seconds off, but both of them should be able to certainly get back in this.
Yeah, Vince is on the back of the pack already, isn't he? And a little way to catch up, but he's got clear track in front of him and nobody in his way, so I'm sure he'll be on the back of the pack. Alex having no, maybe not. I was going to say he was having a look at Stacey there. He wasn't. He was just shadowing him round the corner.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this this last corner, which is what is specific to the moto layout, is you can run some varying lines through the corners. We see Alex now making a move for the lead, but doesn't quite have the overlap there. But it does allow for side-by-side racing. It's maybe not, an overtaking opportunity on the brakes like the hairpin would be, but it does allow for some varying lines and to try and set up the first corner.
Yeah, I just I don't think Stacey is defensive. Possibly just one of those multiple lines that you're talking about, Tyler. Alex is not giving him a minute's peace at the moment, although apart from that one attempted over. Oh, hang on. Stacey was very slow there. Oh.
And he's going to open himself up to
yeah,
Rob Woodhouse as well, sneaking through on the inside. That's one of the many corners on this track that are, they may not be off cambered, but they're certainly not cambered at all. And you just in these cars where you don't have a ton of aerodynamic downforce, you're pushing all the way on the limit of the tires. I'm not sure what we're looking at here. I think Jamie Wilson having a moment, maybe. Yeah, there he is. Looks like perhaps missed his braking zone into the chicane. Maybe thought he was doing the full track without the chicane. But that is an interesting
made his own course there, didn't he?
Yeah, well, he was complaining about running the moto layout, so maybe just going the wrong way in protest. As we see Simon working on Stacey here, so it looks like Stacey may lose another one. I feel like we've seen this, sometimes Stacey has a lot of single lap pace, but doesn't quite seem to have the consistency once we get to the races. He definitely is a quick driver, no doubt, but I think maybe just a sign of inexperience with the car. He's surrounded by guys who have been driving this for years and years, and they seem to have a bit of a handle on how to race with it a little better.
Yeah, and I think where it sort of went wrong for Stacey, and something I always found in these cars was once you're out wide on a corner, you're just waiting forever for that grip to come back, and you can go again, and in that short couple of seconds, we all watched Stacey lose 2 places, and you can see he's still struggling at the moment. I don't know whether that overheated his tyres or something like that, but the front two are definitely getting away.
And it could well be the front two are just pushing a little harder at this early stage, and there is something to be said in these endurance races for taking it easy early on. It's a little different now with the shorter races. It's harder to justify to yourself if you lose track position, because you've got less time to make it back up. But similarly, if you're staying in front by cooking the tires, it doesn't really benefit you in the long run anyway. So maybe just playing it cautious here and riding a little bit until the first sequence of pit stops.
Yeah, patient is the enemy of every driver, I think. It's so difficult not to try and do the fast lap every lap, isn't it? You've got to have some sort of discipline and self-control to be able to hold the reins back and not just let the car go. Although I think maybe whatever the problem was, Stacey has suddenly got back on pace, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm certainly not, a master in these cars, but I like to think I'm decently quick. And the point that I always try and relay to people is that along the lines of how important patience is in this car in particular, is the seasons where I have had success are the seasons when I've been at the top of the Safe Driver Award. And the correlation there is that the seasons where I have struggled, I have been the seasons where I'm trying to push the limits all the time, and this car just doesn't reward it. What it rewards is being consistent and being, patient, and that's where I have found my success in this car is those times when I have, been patient and let the car kind of do its thing without trying to push it past the limit.
Yeah, there's not a lot of forgiveness in this car. It's I've got this, I've got this, oh no. And that's how most of my races ended, to be honest.
Oh, well, it's so easy, and with more and more of the GT3 being the car of choice for more and more sim racers, that is a car that absolutely does reward you pushing as hard as you can every single lap. You step over the limit in a GT3 and it'll bring you right back, and if you drive under the limit or just right at the limit, you're going to be off compared to the guys who are pushing 110% every lap. And I know it's tough to find V8 races to do, so a lot of drivers will fill their time with other cars, and the GT3 cars certainly are a popular choice, but it's, in my experience, there's not a more antithetical car, the GT3s, to these V8s, because the way you drive them fast is just so different.
Yeah, and to be honest, you used a long word then that I had absolutely no idea what you meant, so I'm just going to agree with you.
Sorry, antithetical is opposite. So they are opposites.
Okay, that must be an American thing then, because I would have just said opposite. Anyway, back to the racing, and yeah, this. I thought the field was spreading out, but they seem to be coming back together again, and I really do hope that this isn't a commentator's curse, but I've been watching Nikolai Bogotyrev for a couple of laps, and he is going fantastically.
Well, we did when we were watching Nikolai earlier. I saw two definite off tracks, so he's someone who is not abiding by my personal philosophy of patience and keeping it within the limits, but you can't argue with the pace he's extracting right at this moment. He is, as you said, he's on a tear right now. He's one of our biggest movers of the race, up 3 positions from the start. Only Rich Jameson has moved more. He's up 5 spots down in 10th, but he did start at the back of the grid there, so a little more avenue for improvement. But yeah, Nikolai's been pushing hard, and next up is his teammate Tony Kloosterman, so Tony will have to get a move on here. He'll be under pressure soon from Nikolai. Although last time around, Tony was just a hair quicker than Nikolai. So definitely competitive at the front, as we often see.
Something just happened to Ant Woodward.
I think it is his connection issues acting up again, because he keeps jumping
right,
in and
okay.
out. Yeah, so still showing 13th when he is in the session, but yeah, I think it is those connection troubles.
Yeah, and that is certainly a shame. Vincent Skilbeck was the other driver in a lap 1 incident. He's back up to 11th and chasing Jameson, who's currently 10th.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a look at that lap 1 incident here for the first time. So they were 4 wide briefly, and he's come around the outside of Tony, and oh yeah, that's Bram
He just nailed him, didn't he?
Yeah, missed the braking
Yeah.
zone, I would argue, and I almost wonder if Bram was slowing up to try and get back to Vincent when he had this run-in with his teammate here. Yeah, just kind of helped around there. So unfortunately, that's a double whammy from Bram in lap 1.
Yeah, that's a blue on blue on blue.
Yeah, that's not to adjudicate here because I'm not on the stewards panel, but there's what happened to Jamie. So yeah, just missed the braking point, lock up the left front, and had to spin it back around. You can't, unfortunately, because the bus stop is so huge, you can't cut through. They have tire bundles completely blocking it off, so Jamie had to go the long way back around.
Okay, well, that's everybody caught up with the incidents so far. Front two have pulled a gap again on Stacey and Simon. I was sort of wondering whether Stacey was holding up Simon, but I think if he was, Tony Kluseman would be all over the back of the pair of them, but he doesn't seem to be catching.
Well, and you can be sure that a bit of a look
Alex
there.
was a bit wild there.
Not an overtaking opportunity really, unless you got a much bigger moment than that. But as Simon is pulling to the inside of Stacey, I was going to say, Simon is fuel saving for sure as he was in behind Stacey, but
yeah,
I guess decided it's more important to keep up with the leaders at this stage of the race, which is not surprising. There is absolutely a benefit to fuel saving, even if you don't save yourself a stop. It just translates to pure time in the pits. But with that said, there's also something to be said for track position, and clearly Simon felt like he was losing too much to the top two.
Yeah, and I think not that I would ever be up that far, but if I was in Stacey's car, I would now be sitting on the rear wing of Simon Trendle, hoping that he drags back up to those front two.
Yeah, certainly there's enough long straights here that if you can stick with him, you'll get a bit of a benefit from the tow. But yeah, it just seems like, as we were saying before, Stacey doesn't quite have the race pace that he does in qualifying, but certainly, still quick. I mean, with this field, what we have, fourth is nothing to be ashamed about. Certainly, as we're looking back at Nikolai Bogotyrev and David Burns going at it again. David's caught Nikolai up here, and I'm pretty sure I saw another off track for Nikolai, who's definitely testing that 20 incident limit, I think, by the end of this race. That's Ant going by Jeff Saunders, so more movement back in the pack here.
Yeah, David Burns is one that I've been watching as the season progresses. Obviously started with us. Oh, there's a move. No, he's back to that. Started with us this season, and it's progressively getting better and better and better. I think he's going to be one of those that are challenging for top fives and podiums before long. But the battle up front is definitely heating up a bit. These drivers are not just sitting in line and seeing what happens. They're trying to make moves.
Yeah, I know what Rob is trying to do here, because he keeps seeing Alex really open up that corner that runs onto the back straight, and it's very tempting. Obviously, we've seen him send it up the inside twice now, but what he needs to do is sit back and follow Alex onto the straight, because he's close enough that with a good tow, he can definitely make a lunge into the final corner, and that's a much better overtaking opportunity than kind of that bus stop complex. So I think Rob, just getting antsy here, and this is kind of what we talk about of being patient, but at the same time, it's about knowing when you can make a move. And I think Rob just needs to realize that the corner that he's tried it, even though it looks like Alex is presenting him with an opportunity, that's not where the pass is going to.
Okay, I don't know if that was me, but I suddenly lost Tyler there. But yeah, I again, I'm going to agree with Tyler. And you know, the other thing that I would say is, is it a coincidence that Rob is now trying some moves that are not really on since Simon Trendle got past Stacey? You know, does that play in the back of your mind?
Yes, yes, it does.
That, you know,
I'll
the
answer
next
that one
person on
quickly.
the next person on your relative screen is now Simon, and he's closing.
There, having been, I'm pretty sure, in this exact position before, you know, not to single Simon out because there's several drivers here, and it could be any number of them on any given day because you know who's quick, from practice and qualifying, but you know you've been pulling away. Oh, I don't think that's legal. I wonder if Alex might have just lifted to try and save some fuel and caught Rob out there because that was quite a wild maneuver.
Simon had a little twitch there, but it looked under control. This battle's quite good. We're going to see that again.
Or was he maybe serving a slowdown? I don't. For Rob to be that far back and to be that caught off guard, it almost looks like
did he just miss his braking point? Was he? You know how easy it is to look down at your relative to see if the guy behind you is catching you, and you look up and you're like, oh, where was? Oh, there was my braking point.
I would love an onboard with Alex there, because I would bet he was lifting coasting heavily because he had a gap for the first time in a long time, and I think you look and see that and you're like, oh, I can save now. Yeah, that's a big lift before he started braking. And he fortunately was watching his mirrors, so
he see that coming, didn't he? You see the double turning.
Yeah, so that's definitely just a case of, and once again, another situation that I have found myself in before, is suddenly you have a gap that you haven't had the previous laps. You think, oh, I can really fuel save now, but for Alex, I think it just caught Rob off guard, and he didn't quite have enough of a gap to really save as much as he did. Obviously, it works out for him in the end because now Rob is under real pressure from Simon. But yeah, that is, like I was saying before, it doesn't matter if you can't save a pit stop, but every liter of fuel that you save is time gained in the pit stop. So especially in these endurance races, and Alex knows that. Rob's been saving him behind him. Simon has been saving him behind him, and that weighs on you when you're the leader because you don't have that opportunity to save quite as much because you don't have the tow.
Yeah, and this battle, Nikolai, David, and Bram. I think Bram's doing himself the world of good here. He's going to be sitting behind these two. He's going to be saving some fuel. And he's not trying anything stupid. He's just going, all right, guys, you get on with it. And if you two have a coming together or make a mistake, I'm get a 2 for 1.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting battle. The thing that is interesting to me is it seems like Vincent Skilbeck has been stuck behind Rich Jameson for quite a while now, and hasn't been able to effect a pass, and that's really separated him from this group, which is the next few cars ahead, but they're some 10 seconds up the road. Oh, there goes Bram. Oh, it's going to hit his teammate.
Bram.
Oh, my goodness.
Just as I said, he was being very patient and sitting back and letting him get on with it. He must be listening.
Yeah, that is I'm making the move.
Perfect.
Oh my God, I'm going to hit my teammate, step on the brake harder, lock up the rears, get really lucky.
And, if you're in Nikolai or David's position there, you sort of, What? Oh, thank God for that.
Well, and you have to wonder in your mind a little bit how much of that was Bram thinking, "Oh, I can't take out a second teammate in this race," because it really was. I mean, if he didn't step on it there, he was going to hit Nikolai. I think that was inevitable.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, he certainly saved that, but that he's going to want to get in as soon as the window opens and get some rear tires on that aren't shaped like square blocks, I think, at this point.
Yeah, and I think I'm now going to put Bram at the top of my favourite lists to do a drive-through at some point in this race.
Yeah, certainly if he's got a couple of 4Xs or 2Xs already, that one's going to be 2 more, and he'll already be pushing double digits at this stage of the race. We're only 20 minutes into a 90-minute race.
Yeah, so with Bram out of the way, the battle between Nikolai and David carries on.
Yeah, I would say this is where we're first starting to see, as that's a nice move down the inside from David, but it switches back here. So really, at this stage, he's just applying some pressure to Nikolai, and you know, we've seen Nikolai running off track a bit already, so that can certainly help to build that pressure. And it looks like this is going to be for 6th place, as we kind of see the top 5 has broken away from this pair here. Certainly looks like they're going to have a tough time clawing that gap back. I know it seems doable. You know, you say it's only, they're only 10 seconds back from the lead, but, you know, 10 seconds against drivers of the caliber that we have here, you know, there's almost certainly not going to be a safety car from this point forward, because that's really only for lap 1 track blockages. As David gets the move done.
David gets it done, yeah.
A great move there. Just outbroke him into turn 1. That's a fantastic move. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, David's clearly got some pace here, but man, 10 seconds is a lot.
Yeah, I expect David now to pull away from Nikolai, but again, I'm agreeing with you too much tonight already. 10 seconds, depending on the track, depending on the car, depending on the caliber of drivers, it's either nothing or it's an eternity. You know, there's never an in between. It's either, you know, you're going to get that back really, really quickly, or already 25 minutes into a 90-minute race, you're too far behind to do anything about it, unless some sort of calamity happens up front. Let's never rule that out.
No, certainly not. And I want to say David was one of the beneficiaries going back to Bathurst. No personal reason why I would want to remember that race, but when all the chaos broke loose with Simon and Vincent, I'm pretty sure David ended up near or on the podium because of it. So he certainly knows, you know, hey, even if I'm not going to be able to, bit late on the brakes there, and yeah,
he's going to give that place back, isn't he?
Yeah. I don't know if he just trying to get the car back under him there. That was strange that he wasn't able to just jam on it. I guess you don't want to cut the next corner, but yeah, you know, certainly he'll know anything can happen with those 5 in front with you know, an hour to go, and even if he doesn't have the pace necessarily to run them down, certainly it doesn't mean he's out of the chance for a podium.
But it's strange, isn't it, how many times we see what's just happened there, where a driver is stuck behind another driver, as we see Vincent try that move.
Do exactly the same thing. Sat behind Rich Jameson.
And couldn't do it. But you see a driver sat behind somebody else who clearly looks quicker for lap after lap after lap after lap, and then they finally get it done, and then within half a lap they've thrown it away again and have to start the whole process over again.
Yeah, as Jamie Wilson makes the move on Jeff Saunders there. Yeah, it's this really interesting thing that happens to you where, you know, you're when you're running these races now. Simon having a look for second, he's going to get that done, I imagine.
Under him. Yeah, you could see what Bob Woodhouse was doing there.
Yeah, just let
He's
him
always try and switch back.
make the mistake, and he did, which is a tough bet to make when you're fighting Simon, but it happens sometimes. But no, what happens is you know, when you run laps around the track, you have your braking points, and you use those braking points, and then you get in behind a car, and suddenly your braking point becomes just a little tiny bit later than wherever they're braking, and you know, if you're in behind a car for a number of laps, you can totally lose track of where you were braking before that happened. And not to mention, by that stage, your tires have worn more, your fuel has burnt off, the car is behaving differently than it was from when you were in clear air before. So you get ahead of the car, and even if mentally you're like, okay, I need to brake at my normal braking point now, suddenly it's all different. And the muscle memory is gone because you've been following the car in front of you. Even if you try and focus in and brake at your normal braking points, you always have to adjust when there's a car in front. So yeah, I mean, it really does catch you out when you suddenly get ahead of a car. And whether or not the toe is a factor, it definitely can trip you up, and where you seemed faster before, suddenly you're not anymore.
Yeah, you say about the toe, from my personal experience, and I think this happened to me at Daytona quite a lot. I was, this car always frightened me to death, and I'm never particularly good at driving it, but most of the time I was safe. And going back to the, many seasons ago, being safe got you a good haul of points because lots of people would throw their cars off the track. But Daytona was what always got me because going around that banking, and I had my braking point and I knew where it was, and then you'd get a tow, and you'd be 10 or 15 miles an hour quicker and break your normal braking point, but that was then too late because you was going quicker, and it used to get me every time, and I never ever got out of that habit. Going back even further when we first started, as Bob Woodhouse in the pits for the first time.
Yeah, so this will be the first of the drivers splitting this race evenly, or roughly evenly. We're just about a half hour in, so this is probably a lap before an even split. Yeah,
yeah, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, the interesting thing about this is that this signals obviously that it's going to be a two-stopper most likely. Which, if that was the case, you would have thought the pit window has been open for a while, but we haven't seen anyone bite. So clearly, there's some people thinking that the overcut is going to be the most effective strategy around here. Either that, or it's a really tight window, or there's a chance at a one-stop. So there's all sorts of ways that this could play out.
Yeah, or maybe a run it as low as you can on this run, and it second pit stop, make that one shorter.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts, assuming it's not a really tight pit window, which I would be pretty surprised. I mean, we've seen drivers go, quite a ways on a tank of fuel, and the fuel limit isn't different for this than our normal sprint and feature races. So, I mean, it might be a real tight window, but I think that it definitely does open the strategy up to make the overcut work here. So I'll be real interested to see. I mean, if we see everybody in the next lap or two, then okay, we're working with a tight window, and you can go about a half hour, and that's that. But I think it'll be. I'm very curious to see how this shakes out, given that we haven't seen anyone dive for the pits earlier than just about a half hour in.
Just NQR cars at the moment. Somewhere in everything that's been going on, we've lost Glenn Sidman. He is disconnected well, so yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, this will be interesting. So Tony, obviously the NQR playbook here is to split this in two, or three stints, I suppose. But yeah, I'm really interested. The other thing, of course, is that the the rolling start is actually going to have a factor in this.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
you
Yeah.
you burn some fuel there, lapping the track even at pace speed. So not sure if maybe the NQR cars were pushing a little harder on that pace lap and they're right at the limit and some other cars weren't. But I'll be really interested to see that.
Yeah, so Rich Jameson, Jamie Wilson, Gerard Kinley, also completing pit stops. You would guess the driver at the front, Alex Lado, would be the car that has used the most fuel.
Well, I've been relayed some inside information, which is that it's a definite three-stopper. So it seems our informant is either wrong or a liar. But that would definitely signal to me that it's a really tight window to make the two-stop.
Yeah,
And it
so
does seem
here
like
we
we're seeing
go.
just about everyone in now.
Is there anybody that's going to stay out? Doesn't look like it. That makes it a definite two-stopper, not a definite three-stopper. Let's say that was a typo.
I mean, you know, if the fuel window is this tight to make a two-stop, then certainly that is, you know, indicative. Also, the NQR drivers historically are I hope they won't mind me saying this, some of the absolute worst fuel savers that we have. So not I can't personally say that I'm surprised to see them stopping first if it's a tight window, but really all that signals is that the NQR cars are going to have to really save here.
Well, look what that's done up the top. Bob Wood out ahead of Alex.
Yeah, that is interesting. And what I was about to say was, if it's a really tight two-stop, I'm honestly shocked that no one is trying a three-stop, because, you know, with the shorter races, the tire benefit from that extra stop is not as much, but it still exists.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're going to stop, you know, a lap short of half an hour, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage to try and go for the two-stop. But you've already kind of made your bed, because if you wanted to do a three-stop, you would have needed to have pit much earlier. So interesting to me that no one is trying a three-stop. I think that's crazy.
Right, what's going on with Vincent? Surely he's got to pit this time round.
I think he must have switched into mega save mode, and you know, we noted he was struggling to get by Rich Jameson, but I wonder if rather than struggling to get by, he was just using him as a bit of a fuel save target.
Yeah. There he goes. Here's our last one to pit.
And I bet Vince will be pretty bummed that everyone is going for the two-stop, because he would have, you know, really benefited from drivers trying a three-stop with his ability here. But, you know, with what he's done, it probably means he can do the last two stints without saving, or at least without saving very heavily. And that will definitely benefit him in the long run.
Now, the interesting thing for me at the moment is Bob Woodhouse, we think, needs to save a little bit of fuel. Now, I would say Alex Lado is not a natural fuel saver. He likes to be out front and setting his own pace. So it's going to be interesting to me on, does Bob just let him past at his convenience so he doesn't lose any time and go, look, mate, if you want to go all out, you go all out. I've got a plan here and I'm sticking to it. Or I thought Bob made a mistake then. Does the fact that Alex is going to charge at him, does that make Bob go faster and therefore save less fuel and throw his strategy out of the window a little bit.
If you are Rob Woodhouse here, you cannot let Alex through, but also you have to save a lot of fuel. So he, I mean, unless he is really just not at all trying to get the win here, him stopping early has given him the undercut advantage, and he needs to use that. If Alex gets by at any point, he has gained nothing from this pit cycle and is only behind the game because he still has to save more than every single other car behind him. I mean, he pit 2 laps earlier than everyone but Tony and Bram. So I think, obviously, you love leading races, but I think Rob is in a really tough spot here, and I think he needs to fight hard to keep Alex behind.
And then the fact that there's a gap back to Simon Trendle, does that mean Simon can't save? Simon's got to chase this gap down, or is Simon good enough to close the gap down and save fuel at the same time? Can he save fuel while he's got Tony Kloosterman behind him? Again, goes back to what we was talking about at the start. The endurance races just throw so many different options into the race.
I think, and you know, so if we kind of just look at the timing, the drivers who extended it out the longest, save for Vince, who was a lap longer than everyone, they stopped around 32 minutes into this race, and they had a pace lap beforehand. That would say to me that they can do these last 2 stints, which will each be, you figure, 29, 28 minutes, without much saving at all needed. So to me, the only driver who at this point has to be really conscious about their fuel usage is Rob. I would think so. Here, just from an outside perspective, I obviously can't drive, so I haven't done any practice. I don't know what the fuel number is like. What I'm looking at right now is Rob Woodhouse saving hard, Alex saving not at all, and Simon saving a little bit. And I would expect at the end of this run, you're going to see Simon stop 1 lap later than Alex, 1 lap later than Rob, and try and make it a last stint where he can really push. That to me, based on where they all are on track, is the way that I would play this out in my head. But obviously, much of that remains to be seen. So we'll have to watch and see.
And if these front 2, this is going to sound really stupid, but let's discount Simon Trendle for a minute. If the front 2 are still in this position and this close at the end of this run, if you was Alex Lado, would you A, take on a full load of fuel, knowing that you could run hard all the way to the end, or would you, knowing that Rob is going to have to take a full tank of fuel, would you short fuel to get the lead and then try and save some in the remainder of the race? What's the bet tactic?
I think it just from watching it, I think the margins are too close to short fill any meaningful amount, unless Alex saves really, really hard here. But even then, if that's what he's doing, if Alex is saving super hard and not trying to pass Rob in this stint, what he has to do is not short fill, but instead come in on the same lap as Rob and let that fuel that he's saved jump him in the pits.
Yeah.
So it'll be a shorter fill for him, but he'll still want to fill up all the way. And these guys will have a lap in mind that they can stop, that can get them to the end of the race without saving or with minimal saving. And really, what he needs to do is just pit on that lap, because you cut off the undercut that way, and you hope in this stint that you saved enough fuel that you can jump Rob at the stop. He's already got a 2-lap advantage on him, so that's going to be a shorter fill no matter what. But yeah, I think that I don't think it is a pit later and fill not to the full tank. I think it's a pit as soon as you can and fill up all the way.
And from Rob's perspective, you will be trying to save. Obviously, he came in on, I think it was 28 minutes, something like that. So you would be trying to save enough fuel to eke that extra lap and get to the hour mark. To try and you're never going to even it up now, but take less damage from it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Rob needs to be saving here. He knows that. If if I were in Rob's shoes, as you said, he's in a bad spot here. What I would do is save as much as humanly possible while keeping Alex behind, which fortunately for him, there's not a ton of passing opportunities. And as long as he can keep him back here on the back straight, I think he's in okay shape. Save as much as he can, and then really, really push on the in lap to try and build as much of a gap as you can and just hope for the best. Rob's obviously got the pace, I think, to match Alex. We saw it in qualifying. We saw it in kind of the first stint. But he needs to hold his position, really, I think, is what needs to happen for him to have a chance at the win.
And Simon Trendle in third doesn't seem to be making much of an inroad to these two. So do you think he's in save mode? Is he thinking along the lines of, right, well, if I keep gap at this, I can save some fuel and shorten up that last stop and maybe jump the pair of them in it stop?
Yes. Spot on. No, that is exactly what he's doing. He's keeping that gap to a number that he feels comfortable with while saving as much fuel as he possibly can. And he'll know that Tony behind him is a lap short on him as well. His hope is that Rob can stay ahead of Alex. So really, the only person who wants Alex to get ahead right now is Alex. I think everybody else kind of needs Rob to hold him up here. That's the only way they benefit from this.
And going back to Rob and his precarious position, and this could be, you might just turn around and flatly go, absolutely not. That is not the thing to do. But would a tactic for Rob be to let Alex pass and then sit behind him and try and get some fuel back that way? And then is when they both come out of the pits and try and hard charge all the way to the end?
I mean, it's an interesting philosophical question because yes, Rob could save more fuel if he was tucked in behind Alex, but I think he has to know that with a 2-lap advantage, he will be running at a pace that is probably marginal for fuel saving anyway, just to keep up with Alex. So it's probably a wash, and if it's going to be a wash in terms of fuel saving, you'd rather have the track position. If you lose the spot in the pits, you lose the spot in the pits, but at least you're not, sitting behind him trying to save fuel and watching Alex disappear down the road. I'd always rather be ahead in this case. If I was in that position.
My thought train is Rob being at a 2-lap disadvantage. I don't think where he is at the moment, there's nothing he can do. I just can't see how he wins the race. So he's got to, for me, he's got to do something different. And the only thing different that, don't get me wrong, I could never save fuel anyway, because I did too many laps going round and round in a circle on the same spot using fuel. But for me, the thing that Rob could do different is sit behind Alex and maybe try and get that down to a 1 lap of fuel deficit, and then maybe throw everything at it at the end and go, look, I am really slightly short, but I'm just going to go for it anyway and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess I guess kind of what I was trying to say is that I don't think. I think if you have a car that you are on the same pace with, you can save more fuel behind them. But I think that in the position Rob is in, I don't think he would be close enough behind Alex for long enough to save enough fuel to make up the difference here. I think Alex is just too quick. And if he's not in fuel save mode, I think he'll pull away from Rob. And then you've let him through for basically no gain because you're clean air fuel saving again. What Rob has to his advantage here is that it's very tight through most of the track except for the back straight, and he can do a little lift here, a little lift there, while not letting Alex through, because Alex would have to really have a lunge here. I don't know if that's what Rob is doing right now. He might not be saving at all. He might be foot to the floor and just drive as fast as he can. But to my mind, that's his best case scenario here is to save as much as he can, so that if he and Alex pit on the same lap or one lap different in kind of the final stint, then he's still in with a chance. Is the way I look at it.
Yeah, so I totally get what you're saying. I just say for me, from the outside looking in, if this stays as it is right now, I can't see that Rob has got any chance of winning this race. So for me, he needs to try something different. I get Alex might run away, but he's not going to win the race from where he is now. So try something surprising.
I mean, the only reason I disagree with you here, and I'm glad we're disagreeing again, because the start of the broadcast there was just too much.
Definitely.
As Alex tries to make the move stick, I don't think that's going to hold with the right-hander coming up. But I don't think letting Alex through and trying to save a fractional amount more in the toe is doing something different. I think doing something different would be pitting now and doing a 3-stopper and committing to a 3-stopper.
Yeah.
I don't think that is a winning strategy either, but it would certainly be fun. And he would get to, Rob would get to push to the end. But to me, I don't think a tenth of a liter per lap increase in fuel saving is enough of a difference to really alter his chances too much. But Alex is getting really antsy now. He wants to make this. He's tired of riding behind. And honestly, that is the other benefit of Rob staying in front here. Is he from the position he's in now, he can pressure Alex into a mistake. But if he's riding behind fuel saving and Alex knows it, there's no pressure on Alex to make a mistake.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on why Alex is pushing too hard, because from what you're saying, which like I say is correct, but there's different strategies out there. Alex knows that in theory, if he just sits where he is, he's going to pit a minimum of 2 laps later to probably a maximum of 4 laps later than Rob. Or even, again, as you said, if he pits on the same lap, he's going to jump in the pits anyway because he's going to need less fuel. So why risk anything now?
I'll tell you why.
They're getting no pressure from behind. Simon is losing time, not gaining time.
There's something about that number 1 on the car in your mirror that just you never feel comfortable. You never feel safe. And you're just like you see that gap growing and you're like, oh, he must be fuel saving like crazy. It's there. You never. Okay, I can't. Alex is a confident guy, so I can't speak for him. But when I am sitting in front of Simon, I never feel like I'm pulling away from him on pace. I feel like I'm pulling away from him because he's doing something, and that is concerning.
So basically, you're sitting there going, Trendle's up to something. And I know when he does his final pit stop, he's going to come out in front of me, and I'm going to be sitting in that car going, how did that happen?
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
That is, and you know, I mean, there's been plenty of times where Simon hasn't been up to anything, and you know, it goes in your favor. But there's also been plenty of times where Simon is up to something, and it doesn't. It goes against you, and you're like, well, I'm not making that. I'm not making that mistake again.
Yeah. It always makes me laugh the amount of times where, you know, we've been commentating and we're like, yeah, Simon's up to something here. Simon is definitely up to something here. And you get to the interview and you go, right, come on then, Simon, what was you up to then? And he goes, no, I was just rubbish.
Oh, I still think he sometimes is a bit untruthful in his interviews when or in the waiting room when I'm like, were you fuel saving? And he's like, no, I was going 100%. I don't buy it a second, but you know, that's just the power that Simon has as someone who is ultra fast and good at strategy and fuel saving, is that there is just a constant pressure, whether, because you just never know. You never know what he's well, we know what that is. That's an off track, and he's got to be careful about that. But yeah, you just never know, and that is the pressure that Alex is feeling right now.
So I can tell you we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers in double figures on incident points.
Yeah, we said at the beginning it's going to be a factor before this race is over. I mean, that's just, you know, with a track like this, it's inevitable, and especially for the drivers who have been in battles all the way through, like these two. I haven't noticed any egregious off tracks, but I'm sure they're picking them up here and there. So, yeah, it'll be interesting.
And that's another thing that plays into your mind, isn't it, as a driver? When you start to get close to that limit, you change how you drive because you don't want to go off track anymore, and you either lose a lot of time or you end up getting more off tracks because all of the braking points and turning points and stuff like that you've practiced maybe for a fortnight or 3 weeks or a week or not at all have suddenly changed because you can't get any more off tracks.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there hasn't been, you know, things have settled out here in the middle of this race where, you know, we're not seeing the passes happening as wild and fast as they were at the start. But that doesn't mean that, you know, these drivers are relaxed. I'll tell you that much. As I thought he locked up the rears there, but he's got that done. So can Rob get the crossover move? I think he's going to be out wide here.
Yeah, I think he's that's a done deal.
So now that has happened, I want to keep an eye on Simon Trendle's lap times, because I would bet we're going to start to see them come down a bit.
Yeah, well, it's 3.1, 3.2 seconds at the moment. It was stable around 3.5. It does fluctuate a bit on a lap round here because it is quite a long lap. So, yeah, it'll be interesting now, especially if Alex starts to pull away from Rob. That's going to force Simon to do something, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was getting at. I think we're going to get a replay of this is Jamie and Rich Jameson in the final corner. Rich have a moment here. Yes, he did.
Wide, yeah.
Little too much speed there, and easy enough for Jamie. But yeah, I think you're going to see Simon close that gap to Rob very quickly, because he can't afford to let Alex get down the road if he's going to have a shot at this. So at the moment, it's stretched just a little bit. But yeah, as that's Tony. Is that Tony letting Stacy by? Tony pulled to the inside there. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe just lit up the rears out of the corner. Not sure. I'm going to get a rewind here. Yeah, I think he just lit up the rears.
Yeah. A little bit eager, wasn't he? Yeah.
Held on to it. Yeah, and the other thing that we're going to want to keep an eye on here, as that's an off track, they are, if Rob does another 28-minute stint, which I doubt he will, he should have been fuel saving if he's going to have a shot at this. But if he does another 28-minute stint, he's going to be in this lap. And if that's the case, then he's really in trouble for that last stint of this race.
Yes, because that is going to be full on fuel saving, isn't it, for a whole stint?
Yeah, I think hopefully Rob has been saving all the way here. Obviously he's been in that fight with Alex and did great to keep him behind, but yeah, you can't you can't be 2 laps short of fuel and make that all, or 4 laps short of fuel and make that all up in the last stint. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, just watching the gaps. So Simon's not really closing on Rob yet. That's still around 3.5 seconds. Gap at the front, Alex stretches that out to 0.8 at the moment, but it does come back to about 0.5. So he's not running away from Rob.
No, yeah, Rob's doing well to keep up here, which, yeah, that's the way that he has a chance at the end of this. He's kind of, nope, not coming in this time, so that's good news.
Yeah, it just needs to be as long as possible, doesn't it, this stint, Bob? It'd be interesting to see what he has saved.
I doubt you'll see anyone here. I think we'll probably see just about everybody in on the same lap here once they've figured out that they can make it to the end, because you don't want to open yourself up to the undercut. We saw Rob, that was the one benefit he got from stopping early in that first stint, was it did put him in front of Alex. And if you're Alex, you definitely don't want that to happen again and heading into the last stint here.
Yeah, no, Stacey putting pressure on Tony, because I would guess Tony is rather light on fuel at the moment.
Yeah, Tony did make it to the half-hour mark, so he, at the very least, is a lot better than Rob, but Stacey did pit with the rest on 1 lap later than Tony, so it does look like Simon is losing time to Alex, which maybe this is what the pace that Simon has, or maybe he's still just trying to get every last drop of fuel saved that he can, but yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that gap is continuing to open up.
Yeah, we finally lost Ant Woodward. I'm guessing a continuation of his technical difficulties that he's been having tonight.
Yeah, he was blinking quite a bit before that, before he was showing his in the garage. So, yeah, unfortunate for Ant. Connection issues are always tough.
So is Rob, he's managed to stretch it another lap. So this is looking better. That's going to take him closer to the 61 minute, 61st minute, I should have said, not the 61. Hopefully, Ant will let us know on the chat the difficulties he's been having tonight. You know, starting to put some serious pressure on Tony.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Tony's saving or he's just used the best of his tires, and Stacey's been effective. It's been good to see Stacey hanging on here, because it did look at the start like he was dropping like a rock a bit. But honestly, he's not even that far behind Simon or even the leaders. They're 8 seconds back. We talked about how hard 10 seconds is to make up, but Stacey's in decent shape to have a shot at a podium here.
Yeah, I would guess Tony's not fuel saving, because he is the first to admit that he is probably one of the most lead-footed drivers in the V8. Just prefers going at it from lights to flag rather than worrying about trying to save fuel here, there.
Yeah, and sorry, Clyde, that looked like Rob right on the back of Alex. I'm not sure if Alex
Yeah.
made a mistake or something, but that gap closed up all of a sudden, I think.
And that gap out to Simon is over 4 seconds now.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised, to be totally honest, at the pace that Rob is keeping and that Simon isn't.
He's gone.
There's the stop.
Yeah. So yeah, 61st minute. So that's one better.
Yeah, I have to say I'm surprised not to see Simon and Alex in the pits here. This feels like, especially with how close that Rob was to Alex, even if he has to save a little bit on this last stint, he's certainly not going to be saving on the outlap. And I think Alex is in real trouble of getting undercut again.
I think Alex needs to come in now to get in this lap.
He certainly can't extend it another lap more. I mean, the fresh tires for the first lap or two is just such an advantage that, you know, that is why the undercut has always been so powerful in this car. And, you know, it's really the shorter stints, meaning that the tires don't fall off that second plateau, that has made the overcut viable again. But it doesn't change the fact that you gain a ton of time on fresh tires as long as you have a nice outlap.
Yeah, watching Alex is extending that lead actually over Simon. Does that mean Alex is coming in this lap? Is he really pushing on this as an in lap?
I would guess so. To pull that, I mean, he's pulled an extra second and a half on Simon in this lap alone.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
You know, that would say to me he's pushing on the in lap. No.
You know.
That is a strange choice from Alex and Simon.
Well, you could only assume that Alex thinks that he's got the pace, that he can extend this lead with the fuel that he's got left to not have to worry about an undercut.
Well, I'm going to keep a close eye on the sectors here because that is strange. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. Rob was 0.4 quicker in Sector 2, 0.2 quicker in Sector 3. He lost a bit of time in Sector... Oh, no, he hasn't completed Sector 4 yet. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah. Baffling decision to me to stay out here. Even if your pit stop is going to be shorter, you're just giving away time at this point.
Jamie Wilson is in.
But then again, I'm never afraid to admit that Simon is smarter than me, and he stayed out too. So who knows?
To be honest, I expect Simon to stay. For me anyway, he always tends to go to a race with a plan and sticks to that plan. So, you know, I would guess that Simon is going to run it dry on stint. Know that he's going to shave seconds off of his pit stop because he's not going to need as much fuel to get to the end. And it just would surprise you, would it, if he came out in front of Alex? It's just, that's what Simon does.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't quite know about that. I don't think he would have to save a ton of fuel to save 5 seconds. The only thing I can think here is that the saving is a lot tighter than we. Yeah, he's in. Alex stayed out though. The only thing I can think is that the fuel window is a lot tighter than we think it is, and that even to make it 28, 27 minutes would still involve some saving. And if that's the case, then yes, I can see why they would stay out, so that they don't have to save in the final stint. But they're making themselves vulnerable to the undercut here, so they would have to be pretty confident in that.
Yeah, we've had a message from Ant Woodward. Internet issues, as you could see. It wasn't registering his laps properly and eventually flagged him for cutting the track.
Yeah, that's some real internet issues there.
Yes.
So Simon is in the pit exit while Rob's just on the main straight now. I think he's jumped him. No, he hasn't. Okay. Never mind. But we can kind of guess from this gap. I mean, it was what, 5.5 seconds, Alex, to Simon. Simon's come out 3 and a bit seconds behind Rob here. So I guess the question now is how much more fuel did Simon save than Alex? Because that's going to determine whether or not Alex is able to come out ahead of Rob.
Yeah, and we know because of the way the pit stops have shaken out, most definitely Simon and Alex are going to be fully fueled till the end.
Yeah, and just for your reference, Clyde, Rob was 1.2 seconds quicker than Alex on that last lap.
Yeah.
So that that undercut is powerful, and I would be worried if I was Alex.
So couldn't you look at it, and he's in now, couldn't you look at it that he's going to get that benefit back?
You can, but if you have to use up the tires in dirty air trying to pass somebody, that benefit is hugely negated. If Alex comes out ahead, he's fine. Yes, he will get that benefit of the clear tires. But if Rob is ahead of Alex after this pit stop, then he's really wasted those fresh tires because he'll have to use them getting by Rob. Excuse me. In any case, I think this is going to be pretty close, and Rob definitely has the pace now that he shouldn't have to save too much. That I think we've got a race on our hands.
Here we go. Here we go.
So definitely advantage Alex, and we'll have to see if Rob is able to close that gap down once the fresh tire advantage is used up.
Yeah, he'll possibly make some gains this lap whilst Alex is getting his tyres up to temperature. But there are your top 3.
Honestly, Clyde, there's really no advantage. You can push, you can gain time from the moment you leave the pits on these tires. The cold tires are just not an issue at all in this car.
Okay.
So I think Alex is going to be really quick this lap. I would expect that gap to get out to probably 3 and a bit seconds before it settles in.
Two secs, guys. My phone is going. I will be back very shortly.
As we jump back to the battle between Rich Jameson and Jamie Wilson. 2 confusingly similar names. I'm surprised we haven't messed those up yet. But Jamie, as we kind of alluded to earlier, it's really tough to make a pass happen in this twisty section here, but Jamie is trying. He's really pushing Rich. Been a recovery drive for Jamie since that running deep in the bus stop, and hasn't really had the pace to kind of make a recovery drive happen. It's been a bit surprising, to be honest. Is he looking to make a move here? Similar story for Vincent Skilbeck, who sits still in 9th, with, I believe, the pit stop cycle complete. He has just not been able to make that comeback drive into much of anything. Jamie's got the run here. Not going to try and make a move, though. Still keeping the pressure on. Unfortunately, I don't have the incident points tracker that Clyde has, so I'm not sure who all is close. But we saw Rich running wide the corner, a few corners back, so everybody's still pushing hard. Haven't seen a drive-through happen yet. Everyone's still only done the 2 pit stops, so we'll have to wait and see if anyone hits that limit. And Alex has stretched that lead gap out up over 3 seconds now. And Simon is closing on Rob as well. So definitely those slightly older tires not benefiting Rob at the moment. That'll even out in probably a couple of laps, at which point they should all be on pretty equal equipment as far as the tires are concerned. But here Jamie's still laying the pressure on. These two drivers stopped at the same lap, so no tire advantage here. Jamie's just going to need to make this move happen on pace. But unless Rich makes a mistake, that's really not going to happen, I think, until we get to the bus stop. There's just no heavy braking zones to really dive up the inside for Jamie. But he'll stick on Rich as close as he can and try and force him into a mistake here. This is the closest battle we have on track, with just a couple of tenths between them. After that, it's Simon Trendo closing in on Rob Woodhouse, who's got that gap down to just about a second now. Really, Simon putting in some quick laps. That last time around, Simon did his quickest lap of the race at 51.8. That plays to a 53.0 from Rob and a 52.2 from Alex. So Simon, the quickest car on track that last time around. But with just 19 minutes to go, I think that 5 seconds to the race leader is going to be a tall order, especially if you include getting by Rob here in that margin.
Apologies, guys. I'm back. That was my car guy giving me some good news, so I'm glad I took that call.
A bit of a wiggle there on exit for Simon, but he's definitely making that gap come down. He's got the pace right now.
Yeah, but Rob's not an easy guy to get past, is he? That's going to play into Alex's favour, I think.
Yeah, as we jump back to Rich and Jamie, Jamie, I'm sure, is getting frustrated with this. Oh, he's gonna. Oh, yeah, that's not really a place you want to be up the inside. That's pretty much a one-lane section there, but they both come out the other side okay.
Yeah, we saw Jay have a stab on the brake pedal, didn't we?
Yeah, that was a bit hairy, but Rich also did well to, leave enough of a gap for them both to survive as long as Jamie backed out, which he wisely did.
Yeah, Jamie's a sensible driver.
And doesn't really have the run here unless he can carry speed through this corner. But no, I think the problem for Jamie is that Rich is quick in the corners that matter, which are that long sweeper heading into the bus stop and then the corner exiting the bus stop onto the back straight. Jamie just can't seem to get a run on him to make a pass happen. Ooh, bit slippy and then over the curb for Jamie. So both on the limit there, and it's hurt Jamie more than Rich. Meanwhile, Simon, he'd gotten it down to half a second. That's gotten back out a little bit, though, as they go through the ebbs and flows of the corner. But, yeah, I think it'll be really tough for Simon to get to the lead here. I think this is a battle for second and second only.
Yeah, I honestly think the only chance that Simon has got is when he gets on Rob's bumper, he gets straight past him with some clean air in front of him to try and chase Alex down. But you would hope Alex is pacing himself and go, do you know what, I'll just keep this gap at 4 seconds until Simon gets past Rob, or if Simon gets past Rob, and then I'll put my foot down again.
Yeah, and Simon was the quickest of the three that last time around again, but it was only by a couple of tenths, which is not going to get it done when we're looking at 15 minutes to go and still about a 5-second gap. And actually, Rob recovered quite well. He was only a tenth off of Alex's time there as well. So, not to discredit the job that Rob is doing. He's doing excellent to hang on there in second.
Yeah, this obviously is the closest battle on the track at the moment, which is why watching this. I think you're right again, Tyler. It's Rich seems to have the traction to be quick enough out of the corners that matters. He's not go into the corner particularly pretty, but coming out of the corner, he's getting it right every time.
Yeah, and I've done my share of frustrating Chimera drivers by being quick in the right places.
And there we
there
go.
goes.
The commentator's curse is strong.
Yeah, we saw Tony do that earlier. Just lighting up the right rear there as the track falls away, and Jamie will be relieved. I think. I don't know that he'll be too happy, but he'll be relieved to finally be through.
Yes. All Jamie needs to do now is find 2 seconds a lap on Vincent. Bob still maintaining that gap to Simon.
Yeah, unfortunately for the two of them, that last time around, Alex was about a half a second quicker. So, yeah, I think they're unless Alex is right on the incident limit and makes a silly mistake, I don't think we're going to see. Don't think we're going to see a fight for the lead, but this is definitely going to go down to the wire. I think these two are pretty closely matched, and whatever tire advantage Simon has, he's hit that same plateau where the tires kind of level out for a number of laps, and I think it's really just a battle on equal pace here.
Well, with 13 minutes to go, we have one driver on 18 incident points. We've got 3 drivers on 15 and 2 drivers on 14.
Yeah, barring significant dramas, I think, fortunately, everyone besides these two is spread out enough that I don't think too many, if any, are going to run afoul of that. But yeah, certainly could come into play if it's one of the top 3 that are on that 18 limit. But yeah, Simon's pushing hard, and you know, as much as we laud Simon for his abilities and his tactical skills, it's fair to say this season we've seen him make his share of mistakes under pressure, and he'll be feeling the pressure to try and get by Rob here and grab that second place. You know, he's in a championship battle, and he'll want to maximize his points. And he, like we said, he's made some mistakes this year, and he won't want to make them again.
And he's in a championship battle with Rob.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And you know, the endurance rounds pay double points, so that is a really valuable position that's sitting right in front of him, and he'll be pushing.
Oh, he pushed a bit too much there, Bob.
Yeah, Simon's got to run here. See if Rob defends hard. He's not defending at all.
And if these two go close quarters, Stacey's not far behind them.
Yeah, really, we didn't notice, but Stacey jumped Tony in the pits, which is not too surprising given Tony's had to stop or had to take on a little extra fuel. But he's really done a great job after I was getting on him for his race pace earlier on. He's held on quite well, and yeah, as you said, definitely with a chance for a podium should something go wrong between these two.
Yeah, Alex stretching that lead.
Yeah, Alex really just has to ride at this point. And I say he has to ride. He's doing lap times half a second quicker than these two, so he clearly can pull that pace quite comfortably in clean air when the pressure is off. So he'll be loving life right now.
Watching the different lines that drivers take through corners.
It's funny, isn't it, with this car? I mean, the epitome of how tailorable this car is to different driving styles has never been more apparent than when Adam Wright, who has raced with the Racing Forces guys before, relayed to me that Kenzie Newhoff doesn't believe in trail braking. Apparently, Kenzie is as quick as he is in these cars without ever having trail braked in his life. Meanwhile, I can't imagine making most corners without significant trail braking
yeah.
in this car. It's such a pleasure to drive because there are so many ways that you can make it work for you. And I know everybody loves to talk about how difficult it is and how unforgiving it is on power. And it's true. You know,
I was gonna say, converse to what you were saying, there are also so many ways to get it wrong.
Yes, there are so many ways to get it wrong, but there are also so many ways to make it work. And you know, it's funny too because speaking of Adam, you know, my former teammate, um, we ran for many years or many seasons as teammates, and very rarely were we ever running the same setup on the car. And it's just because the way that we extract pace out of it is just different enough that we like a little something different. I love to run this car with my brake bias somewhere in the I would say 45 to 49 range, depending on the track. And I know that there are drivers who refuse to run it under 50. So,
Yeah.
it just is such a malleable car that you can make do what you want it to if you get your head around it. And it will be sad to see it go, to be honest, when we get the Gen 3 cars in. I hope they're similar, and I hope I hope that we can make them work similarly. But it's just so fun to watch these battles with two drivers who just, get the same pace out of the car. I mean, look at them. They're neck and neck. We're an hour and 22 minutes into this race, and they're neck and neck, but they're both, they're taking different lines. They're running different strategies. I'm sure they're not on the same setup. It's just awesome.
And it's probably too late now, but these guys, I don't know whether it's the pace of these guys or Alex's pace has dropped, but they've taken a second out of him.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Alex had a mistake somewhere, because it came down all of a sudden. He was a second slower that lap, as you said, and usually you don't lose a second all in one lap without making a mistake somewhere. But we didn't see it. Like you said, probably a little too late for these two, but yeah, you never know. Maybe Alex is just dragging the brake a little to give him some hope and try and get them to make a mistake running him down.
And Simon doesn't seem to be putting as much pressure on Bob at the moment. Is that simply he's saving his stuff, letting his tyres cool down a little bit for last couple of laps where he can throw everything at Bob?
It's possible, but honestly, I would think I would be inclined to believe Bob has just found some extra pace. Unless Simon has really done something to damage the tires, if he had a lockup somewhere, the what you gain from giving them a break, I don't think there's enough time left for Simon to make enough of a gain. But he's crafty. He knows what he's doing. So we'll see how it plays out here. But to me, I think Rob has just found some pace. I think he's closed in on Alex again that lap by half a second. I think he's just maybe found what he needed a little too late here.
Yeah, just looking at the wiggle Simon had on the car then, I don't think he's if he has let off at all, he hasn't let off much.
No, and certainly won't admit it after the race if he did. But no, I think what you're seeing is three really quick drivers driving to the limit right now, and Rob's just got a little more pace in that car than Simon does, or seemingly than Alex does at this stage of the race.
Yeah, we've got under 5 minutes to go.
I'd be very curious after the race to find out how long a stint you could comfortably do on fuel, because It's really been fascinating how this all kind of shook out, and there's still a chance that you know what it could honestly be, Clyde, is that Rob still had to save some, and he saved enough now to finally push.
Yeah, that's the point. Yeah,
That because he was still quite a bit earlier than these two, so yeah, really fascinating fuel strategy for this race, and yeah, I'd be curious to hear from them what it was like from the inside. These are the ones I hate missing out on because this is my bread and butter here.
yeah, 3.7 seconds to our leader.
I think we missed it unless you said it and I missed it. But hello to Chris Jackson on the chat who checked in better late than never. But, I guess we have to ask, as we do every time, when he's going to be back in one of these cars.
Yeah, and I know the answer to that. It's when Mary hits him.
Did Rob make a mistake there? Because suddenly Simon is right back on him. Looks like maybe a slow sector 4 there for Rob, and a bit slower in sector 3 as well. So maybe you were right, Clyde. Maybe Simon was saving just a little bit to pull the tires back under him for a last gasp. Oh my God, that's hard to say. Last gasp dash here for second.
I think we're going to get the white flag this time, maybe, Sam?
For a 2-minute lap. I think it's
So
going to
when
be
they
another
cross the
close
line.
one, but I think so.
Simon is really pushing. And put yourself, you've raced a lot more recent than myself. Put yourself in Rob's car here. What's the best tactic? Both eyes forwards, both eyes backwards, or one eye forward and one eye backwards?
Yeah, it's much easier said than done, but you try and ignore Simon. I mean, you can really easily trick yourself into making a mistake if you go too hard on the defensive, and it seems like Rob's got enough pace that he doesn't have to defend. Yeah, there's the white flag.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Definitely the last lap. But Rob's got enough. I was about to say Rob's got enough pace. He doesn't have to defend hard. He's got to defend
he's
here.
defending now. Yeah.
Yeah, the best thing you can do in a situation like this late in the race.
Don't break yourself.
He's got it down.
Oh, you think he might just? No. There's another right. Time's going.
Oh, he's up over the curb.
And he should get it done now because it's a left. Yeah. Rob's going to fight back.
Yeah, this follows into a right, so it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wiggle from Simon, undercut from Rob.
Yeah, Simon tried to cover him off there, but yeah, he's going for it. Oh, this is awesome.
And I think that's a done deal now.
Yeah, potentially. Oh, you got to look there. If Rob can get a good run out of the bus stop, it's definitely not over because you can make something happen in the last corner. But if Rob needs to not try anything here and just tuck in and follow Simon through, this isn't where you're going to make a pass happen.
Yeah, they say it's all about the exit, isn't it?
Yep.
That curb didn't help.
Yeah, he had it set up well, but he had a bunch of opposite lock earlier in the corner and then again on exit. So, yeah, that's done deal for Simon. But Rob did really well to try and make it back there as we jump back to our presumptive race winner.
Yeah, and here we go. Alex Vallejo is going to take another win.
Just a incredible all-around drive by Alex today. I mean, he was fantastic.
So second was Simon Trendle. We saw that battle in its entirety. And third is Bob Woodhouse.
Yeah, Stacy, then Tony and Bram. So fifth and sixth for the
Good
remainder of
recovery
the...
from Bram.
Yeah, tough to call it a recovery when much of it was of his own doing. But yeah, he did well to hang on there, and I think we saw, you know, he clearly had pace today. It seemed like he couldn't get out of his own way as Nikolai brings it home in 8th.
Yeah, I'll change that. And a good drive from Bram after removing some of his competitors.
Yeah. Well, his competitors and himself with that near miss with Nikolai. But yes, yeah, a solid second half of the race, we'll say, for Bram.
Yeah, and Jamie Wilson's tactic of coming home 10th and getting the reverse pole for the feature race has failed because there isn't a feature race.
It was worth a shot.
Good race from Rich Jameson, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, he had a great start, and he did really well. You know, he had some quick drivers behind him in Vince and in Jamie, and he did well to, you know, didn't hold them back in the end, but put up a great fight through much of the race. So yeah, solid effort, absolutely, for Rich Jameson. And it doesn't look like did Gerard make it to the finish? He did. Yeah, awesome for Gerard in his first race to make it to the end.
Most definitely, because you know, we've seen that many a time, haven't we? A new driver who bins the car a couple of times and decides to park it, but came home with 19 incident points. So well done.
That's what we call maximizing your your race.
Yes.
Use the track to its fullest. As Simon has finally gotten by Alex a little too late here. Oh, that's a nice drift.
It was until he got on the grass.
Still better than most of my celebration efforts this season.
Yeah, I'm going to call that amateurish.
I'd hate to hear what you call mine.
Okay, so everybody's across the line, so we will bring you your official finishing positions. So a win for Alex Civiliano Lado for Hydro Race Racing Forces, second for Simon Trendle for Team Chimera, and the bottom step on the podium for Rob Woodhouse for NQR Europe. Stacey Boyd came home fourth for Nova Motorsports. Tony Kloosterman was fifth for Never Quit Racing North America. Bram de Bois, NQR Europe, was sixth, and David Burns was seventh. Nikolai Bogotyrev came home eighth for Simability. Vincent Skilbeck ninth for Wheelie Bins Mayhem Republic, and Jamie Wilson rounds out your top 10 for Team Chimera. Rich Jameson came home 11th for Rich Jameson Racing. Jeff Saunders, Grumpy Old Blokes, in 12th. New driver Gerard McKinley for GMKR in 13th, and your non-finishers was 14th place Ant Woodward and 15th Glenn Seaman. So a fascinating race there, Tyler. Tactical as they always are, these endurance races, but I think the best tactician of the lot tonight was our winner, Alex Lado.
Hello, Alex, you there?
Oh, sorry, that wasn't an interview, but I'll bring him in anyway. Now you want to talk to him?
Sorry.
Sorry, that was just a statement to you, but he's with us now.
It was a great throw to interview that you totally fooled me. Yes, the best the best pace, the best tactician. Alex, how you doing?
Hey guys, I'm doing very good.
Yeah, it was a really excellent race from you. Did you feel confident the whole way through, or were you getting antsy in that second stint stuck behind Rob?
Nah, it was pretty chill, to be honest. I had the perfect situation. Couldn't ask for anything better, to be honest. Like, yeah, just perfect. Under control the whole race.
You're a much more confident man than me, because I was saying I would feel under pressure from Simon even if he was 15 seconds back. But
no, to be honest, I was keeping an eye on him. That's true. There was a moment in which I was a little bit sus about Simon. I was like, yeah, he's starting to lap slower than us, and I was already fuel saving quite a lot behind Bob. So I was like, okay, he's massively fuel saving. So I was thinking the gap was like, 3.4 seconds at the end. So I thought maybe he could cut those after the pit. So, but yeah, in any case, worst case scenario could be like side by side. But the draft was giving me massive gains on fuel saving.
I appreciate the validation because I'm pretty sure I said exactly that word for word on the broadcast. But no, I mean, you really, obviously you didn't grab the pole, but you really seem to have the most consistent pace out there. Is this a track you normally go well at?
No, I bought it on Thursday, and my pace was horrible on Thursday. I was like a second behind Tony on pace. Yeah, Bob did an amazing job on the SOF race. He won to Kenzie, and who was the other guy? The Australian William something, something like that. But he had great pace, so I knew Bob was going to be fast today, and I was a second behind. So yeah, I knew I had a lot of work to do, but yeah, today I just showed up and my pace was just fine. And I knew that my quality pace was a bit worse on this track because it's the kind of track that you overheat the tires very easily, and I'm typically quite okay or good at tire management. So I knew my race pace would be better than just on one lap. If I just go for it, I overheat the tires and I lose a couple tenths on that. But still, I was happy with my quality lap. I made a couple of mistakes, so I could have taken pole, I think, unless who took pole? I forgot.
Stacy did.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I was like, where did this pace come from today? But I think unless Stacy made a couple mistakes too, I could have taken pole. But that's always what if, you know. So yeah, I was happy with P2.
Awesome. Yeah, the one thing we were trying to figure out in the booth was what was the how long a stint could you do flat out if you weren't saving at all? Were you flat out for that whole last stint, or did you still need to save some?
No, first stint I was flat out at the beginning, couple of first laps to see where I could be in terms of pace, because I didn't want to just start fuel saving and let people by and get lost in the pack and not really have an idea. So as soon as we opened up a little bit of a gap, and I saw that Bob was just all over the place at the beginning. I wasn't even putting pressure on him, but he was just over defending. I guess he didn't read me. But then when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'll just start fuel saving already because we have a little bit, like 2 seconds of a gap or something like that, and I can just allow myself to fuel save. So from like, I think lap 8, 10, I started fuel saving all the way, even in my last stint, because race laps is just dumb at this point. Like, it was telling me to refuel 8.4 liters in the last lap, taking the checkered. So I was like pretty pissed off because in the last couple of laps I panicked because I saw it went from 0 refuel to 0.68. I was like, hold on. And then I was just fuel saving even more. And after a couple laps, I see 4.6 and I was like, okay, that's not okay. And I thought I was just going too fast and extending one lap the race. So I started like slowing down a lot. And it just kept increasing to 8 point something. I was losing my mind. I was like, what's going on? Like, something's wrong. So I just trusted the iRacing field tool, and it said 0. So I said, you know what? Like, let's just go, because at this point they'll catch up with me. So yeah, it was whatever at the end. But I finished with like 2.8 laps extra. So I just need to figure that out and fix a little bit race laps.
Yeah, I've fallen victim to the same issue before, but next time out is Spa. Are you part of our large contingent of Spa haters, or do you like the track?
Mixed feelings. Spa is greater than F1 because look, I love Spa, but it's just the length of it. For whatever reason, I drive a Nürburgring. Like it's just not Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, sorry. It's just like it's okay to drive. Like, you feel good driving there, just because it's what it is. But a track so long like Spa, it's just somewhere in between, in which it's annoyingly long, but not long enough like the Nordschleife, So
Yep.
For me, it depends on the car. If it's an F1 or even an F2, maybe something fast, LMDH, maybe like GTPs. But on a slower car, like F3 already becomes a little bit longer. So anything slower than that, I'll find it annoying, but I will still like the track. So I'll see how it feels with V8. Never raced it there. I did race NASCAR around Spa and a special event from Next Level Racing. It was amazing. So if it's anything anywhere near NASCAR, like how fun it is to lap around, then it will be fine.
Awesome. Well, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
You guys, of course. Sam for being here. I guess he managed the TV cameras. He always does a great job with that. Clyde for congrats for his new car. I'll keep contributing for that donation every season. And iRace, the Racing Line, new sponsor this season. iRace by Adam Talsma and my teammates, because today we're doing like a community, like a Racing Forces Day. We've been racing since 12 in the morning. It's like a whole day racing with them. So yeah, thanks to them and anyone who watched and anyone who showed up today. It's always nice to have cars in the grid. So yeah, and Bob and Simon for the nice fight for the race today.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you next time, and congratulations again on the win, Alex Saviano-Ledo.
Thank you, Tyler. See you, and I hope you get well soon, man.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Okay, next up, let's bring in our second place finisher, Simon Trendle. Welcome to the booth.
Good evening.
Good evening. So, was Simon Trendle out Simon Trendled tonight?
Yeah, Alex was fast. No idea how. I mean, I was going as fast as I could. So, yeah, I got faster as the track got hotter. We were discussing that in the channel, but that's about the only thing I can think of. I was trying my best.
A lot of fuel saving from yourself?
Only when I was stuck behind someone and wasn't able to make a move. So,
Did something that Tyler brought up at the start of the race, did a 3-stop ever cross your mind?
no.
No. Did you try it? Did you look at it?
No.
Was it? No, it was just always going to be a 2-stop for you.
It's 21 seconds for the pit lane plus 9.5 for the tyres. So it's 31 seconds faster. You've got to go over how many laps we did? 47.
Yeah.
You've got to be about 8/10 of that faster every lap. Don't think it's going to happen.
Right. Okay. And your race, your battle with Rob at the end. Obviously, championship implications on that because of the double points from the endurance race. Was that in your mind at all, or was it just a case of there's a car in front of me, I don't care who it is, I want to get past them?
I didn't actually know where I was in the championship. I missed a round. And I think last time I looked, the drop weeks haven't been applied, so I was like third. So I didn't actually know.
Yeah, well,
but no, I
the
just wanted to
drop
pass
weeks were applied about 2 weeks ago.
I should look at this at some point.
But yeah, it's as a track. I know you're normally quite honest with what you think of tracks. I said at the start this was once described to me as a European COTA. Did it feel like that driving around it, or did you enjoy this track?
No, that's actually quite a good description of it because I was really struggling for off tracks there. I just stupid little ones because of the 4 wheels off system. So you just push right up to the limit and it just takes the smallest little bit of understeer and you get another -1. And I just would push myself all the way up to 16. So yeah.
Yeah,
quite
a lot for you. Yeah. And Spa next time out.
It is Spa.
Yeah, so they don't get easier, do they? Because that's another track. Or did they change it? Used to be a track.
I said it wasn't Spa next. I thought it had been removed.
No, it definitely is. I'm sure we kept it in because it's Tony's favourite track. So,
why I think it'd be removed.
Is that a track that you enjoy? A track? It's another one of those tracks, and it was some people really like it, and some people are just like, it's not for me.
It's a fantastic track. I just don't like it because everyone else seems to rave on and on about it, and it appears so much, and I've done so much of it that it's just a case of just give me something else. I'm okay with not doing a Spa for a bit. So
Spa with rain would be good.
yes.
That would certainly liven things up.
These cars just in the rain would be terrifying. So,
and you may or may not know about this, but if you do know about it, have you ribbed your teammate yet on trying to invent a new part of this track?
no, he didn't mention this.
Okay.
From me. He said he's overshot his pit box, but that was about it.
Well, he also overshot where the track went and decided to carry on instead of going through the bus stop.
Interesting.
So yeah, make sure you mention that to him at some point.
I mean, I did that when I overtake Rob the first time earlier in the raceway. The inside wheel snatched, and that was it. I was going straight forward because that's a really tricky corner to brake on because it's curved, but the car doesn't want to turn and brake at the same time.
Isn't that this car in general, though?
Yes, but that corner is particularly just a nightmare for it.
But overall, enjoyable racing tonight.
The last 30 minutes were pretty enjoyable, chasing down Bob, but yeah, that second stint, I was a bit nowhere. I was losing ground on their head and pulling away from behind. I was just trying to figure out what the hell am I doing wrong.
Well, we actually thought that you was like insanely fuel saving in that second stint.
Nope. I mean, I'd cooked the tyres, I think, but I don't know. Something was up and I just wasn't getting on with it. So better in the third stint. No, nothing for Alex at all. Well done to Alex for just immense pace. So yeah, well done to him.
Well, I'd say it was an enjoyable race from the booth anyway. Any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah. Sorry, you guys for the broadcast, doing the league, all that sort of stuff. Congratulations on your new car.
Thank you.
To Jamie for not falling asleep at the wheel like he said he was going to, because that would have been a very strange moment on the broadcast. Yeah, and Simability for sponsoring the league, and hopefully they stick with next season.
Excellent. Well, always a pleasure, Simon. Congratulations on your second place, and we'll see you next time out.
See you next time.
Okay, I don't know what's going on here, but my bongs when I move people on Discord is now making a really weird bong noise. Maybe I should have muted my mic before I said that. Anyway, next up for you, Tyler, is third place, Rob Woodhouse.
Hello, Rob.
Hello, hello.
Well, that was quite an exciting race for you, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is sort of like when you look at the started third, finished third, it really doesn't tell the story. Yeah, that was pretty crazy for sure. It was nice to actually feel like I had a car to compete, with Simon and Alex today, rather than like Sandown being there but not having anything to fight with. It was a good race. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, we certainly your pace looked really good when you were on equal fuel footing. It just seemed like you kind of set yourself back by pitting early in that first stint there.
Yes, yeah. I think I felt I had more pace, and I wanted to try and jump and get in front and see if I could pull away. But once the track got a bit hotter, I think I'd lost a bit of my edge, and Alex had closed me down, and it was just a matter of time from then. And then once he got in front after the second stop, I just tried to consolidate the P2, tried to hold Simon off, but it wasn't to be. I made an error coming onto the front straight on the penultimate lap, the last lap, and that was it. He was by.
Yeah, it seemed pretty impressive your third stint pace, given the 2 laps fresher tires that Simon had and the 3 lap fresher tires that Alex had. It definitely seemed like just you certainly didn't make a bad strategy call, but just didn't work out today.
Yes, exactly. I mean, I felt I could compete, but I feel slightly it was one that slipped away, but Alex had the fastest lap, and that last stint, I just couldn't lay a glove on him. He come out on fresh tyres with about 12 litres less fuel, and I'd already lost the best of my tyres. So yeah, I just couldn't do anything. It was all about trying to hold Simon off, but I couldn't do that either.
Well, we were pretty impressed in the second stint. It seemed like you were doing a really great job holding Alex off, despite what we assumed was a pretty heavy fuel save. How hard were you holding back in that
No,
second
no,
stint?
no. I mean, the way that it worked, I could do 17 laps full attack, and I could break the race down into 16 lap stints, and I was going to go into it just do 16, 16, 16, and then if I do that, if it goes an extra lap, I've got enough fuel in the tank for the end of the race. So I pitted at the end of lap 15, so then that meant I was doing a 17 and then a 16 to the end. But
Gotcha.
yeah. So I mean, it's a pretty basic strategy, but
Yeah, it
yeah.
certainly fooled me, because I thought you were all fuel saving pretty hard, but
No.
yeah. Well, I mean that hard to complain about that one. I thought you drove a great race, but how do you feel about Spa? It seems the top two have the general negative sentiment. Are you in that boat? Or are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Spa. Yeah, it's another track that we don't go to that often, and yeah, I get a little bit sick of doing the same tracks season in, season out. And driving the V8, we always plug into Bathurst, Sandown, Winton, and then there's some street circuits that we just do all the time. And Spa, I think it's like, I mean, I know it popped up last season, I think. But before that, it seemed like 2 years
It's
before
funny you
since
say
we
that.
raced there.
It's funny you say that, because I feel like we drive Spa every year and I'm sick of it. But no, that's good. Good. You're looking forward to it. It'll be. I imagine you'll be in with a shout again. I mean, you've been quick all season, and still definitely in the thick of the points fight. So that's exciting too.
Yeah. I mean, it's just one of them things. Sitting in second, and Simon just keeps stretching that gap no matter what I do. So yeah, I've got to consolidate. I think I've got. I've just got to make sure I don't make any silly mistakes, and hopefully I can bring home second. Because yeah, the way Simon drives is, I just can't get on top of it. I had a chance. Yeah, had a chance tonight, but yeah, still we managed to get in front by the line.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the feeling, so I can empathize.
Yeah.
Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, all you guys in the booth, and for putting on the broadcast. Quite looking forward to watching that one back. All the guys in the Simability MQR team, yeah, and everyone that's turning up and making these events what they are. So yeah, good fun.
Well, awesome. Thanks for jumping in the booth, and congratulations on your podium, Rob Woodhouse.
Yeah, cheers, Tyler. See you guys. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so next up, let's bring in Mr. Tony Kloosterman. Welcome to the booth.
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. So started fifth, finished fifth. Sounds pretty boring, but it wasn't, was it?
No, the first half of the race was pretty good, and after the second pit stop, I don't know, the balance of the car went off. It got very hot out there, and I just didn't seem to have it anymore.
Yeah, we sort of. I looked at that and I thought, well, there's going to be a bit of a battle, you and Stacey, and you never really seemed to close on him in that third stint. But like you say, before that, you and Stacey were really going at it for a while.
Yeah, it was good. It was good racing. Top five were within 4 or 5 seconds for a good 20 odd laps, I would think. And yeah, it was good racing. The lead group were obviously just a bit faster, but overall not too bad. A lot of off tracks though. I don't know how everybody else did, but I know I was getting close.
Let's be nice about it and say you wasn't the worst. You wasn't far off, but yeah.
Oh, I know I wasn't far off. It seemed the harder I tried not to get off track, the more I got in the last 10 laps. So
We touched on that in the broadcast. Me and Tyler, we were saying sometimes when you start getting near that limit, you change your driving style to try not to get off tracks, but then because your braking points and your turning points are then different, you end up getting more. It's weird, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. Then that's exactly what happened. I think I started thinking about it when I was at 12 incidents, and then the next thing I know, I got 17 of them. So
And how did you find this track?
I'll tell you, the very first time I drove it on Tuesday, I thought, oh my God, how am I ever going to finish this race? I had 77 incidents in 33 laps of practice. And I thought, there's no way I'll be able to figure this out. But it sort of came to me during the week.
I must admit, I was sat in a hotel room with my iPad when I read that comment and choked on a sandwich. But obviously things get better as we go into the future because your favourite track is coming up next.
Oh, yes, Spa. You know, if I could figure this track out, I may be able to figure out Spa.
You reckon? Or are you just trying to convince yourself?
I'm trying to convince myself, Clyde.
um, overall, I looked at the track and I thought, maybe not. I said to a couple of the other guys, it was described to me as a European coater, which doesn't fill me with glee. But we did, and this might just be down to the cars and the drivers and nothing to do with the track. But we did have some very good racing on this track. I don't think it was a classic, but it certainly was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. From a driver's perspective, was it better than you thought it was going to be? About the same? Worse?
It was better than I thought it would be, and I think this would be an awesome track for a sprint feature. I really think that would be interesting.
Yeah, no, I think you could be right. Especially with the 20-minute sprints. There'll be no holding back on a track like this. But I think I can speak for Tyler as well. We did enjoy the racing. There is I think Sam may have posted a picture already. There's a great shot of one of your teammates, Bram, doing a bit of parallel parking between two other cars. That was very interesting to watch and could have ended horribly. But we enjoyed it. Spa, in all seriousness, we know it's not one of your favourite tracks, but I take it you're going to throw everything at it as usual.
Absolutely. It's a track that's been a thorn in my side for years. So maybe I'll apply myself a little bit this time and see if I can do it a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. Before we let you go, any shout outs you want to give?
First thing, Tyler, how's the foot?
Unfortunately, not much better. So,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I was kind of hoping that you'd be around today because I seem to recall the last time we raced here, you did quite well.
I seem to recall too. Meanwhile, Clyde and Sam don't even remember having this track in the league. So who knows?
There you go. Yeah. Thanks to Simability for sponsoring the league. Obviously, to the guys in the team, everybody's been working pretty hard. Welcome to the new fella in the league, Gerald. Hopefully, he had a good time today. I didn't see much of him, so I guess that's a good thing in a way.
He
And
finished the race, which
that's
is always a plus point on your first league outing.
absolutely. And you guys are doing the broadcast, and looking forward to next race. And a reminder to everybody that the next two races are back to back.
They certainly are. Yes, our season finales come up on I think it's the 23rd of November and then the 30th of November. So yeah, we'll make sure everybody knows. Always a pleasure, Tony, and I will keep my fingers crossed for you for Spa.
Okay, thanks, Clyde. Take care.
Thanks a lot. Catch you later. Okay, so next up for you, Tyler, let's bring in Bram.
Hello, Bram.
Good evening.
Solid recovery, solid second half of the race, we'll say. I think bit of I think anyone could acknowledge it was a bit of a sloppy start for you, but you pulled it back and came home sixth. How was it out there?
Yeah, indeed, very bad start. I don't know. It's like the rolling start caught me off guard too much. That was a surprise.
Yeah, certainly.
Surprise for us.
A surprise for everyone. Yeah. But yeah, you held on okay. We saw obviously your moment with your teammate Nikolai there, your drifting moment. But after that, I don't know. Did you have too many battles, or were you mostly just kind of running the strategy?
I was just when I was slightly catching them, and then I was stuck behind them. I wanted to make a move, and the moment I touched my brake pedal, it just locked, and I went sideways, shouting to Nikolai to get out of the way. Luckily, didn't hit him. That was good. And then I think my pace was quite okay. If I was looking compared to the leaders, I wasn't really dropping, was staying there, so I was happy. But then just the little mistakes will come up. You try to avoid an off track, and you lose like a second because of it. So yeah, I had to be a bit careful to not get a penalty.
Yeah, it's funny. You're the third NQR driver we've had in so far who started where they finished, and that doesn't really capture what happened in the race. But yeah, you did well to I guess climb back up to sixth, and like you said, your pace looks pretty good. I'd imagine you hate Spa probably, right?
Spa, I don't know. I have to love it. I can't hate it as a Belgian, but it's a love-hate relationship. Same with this track. It's like there are no really hard braking points. Maybe turn one, so that's the only corner I really hate. But then it's just to not make the small mistakes which cost you so much time. It's so difficult. It's like I need the last bit of consistency to keep me somewhere in the running and work on my starts. It's like I always drop like a brick. We should have a forever backwards award.
That's a good idea.
I think if I hadn't missed half the season, I'd be in with a shout at that. I feel like I've lost spots in every race I've done, but yeah, I think you'll be all right. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to here before we let you go?
First of all, sorry for Vincent. He got spun out again. No, it was my doing. So that sucks for him. Yes, the team had a lot of practice. Did quite some races, some practice together. So that's good. Rob got a good finish. Tony as well. Sorry for Ant. He had some internet issues, so I didn't even get a 4x. But on the replay, it showed like 0 netcode, which is strange. But yeah, thank you guys for the broadcast. And better luck next time.
All right. Well, well done on your 6th place, Bram, and we'll see you next time out.
Yeah, see you guys. Have a good evening.
Okay. Last but not least, it's Mr. Skillbeck. Welcome to the booth.
Hello.
Hello. We just wait for the signal to get through to Australia there. No, extra hour in bed. I expected more, I must admit.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I only had 2 hours sleep, so.
Unlucky again on lap 1. Wrong place, wrong time. It's been the story of your season, really, hasn't it?
Yeah, the first half of the season's was all right. But yeah, these last, I don't know now, 5 maybe 6 races now. Yeah, it's gone downhill. I did see the standings that Clyde has already updated, which is actually amazing, and I still have no idea how I'm still sitting P4. So yeah.
I'm putting sympathy points on, mate. Believe me. Now, all right. Let me throw this one at you then. Could you avoid some of that trouble with better qualifying?
Quite possibly, but qualifying's never been my strong point. I think there's others in here that when they do practice, they practice quali laps. Me, on the other hand, I like to practice long runs with the race set and then change over to the quali set and do maybe half the time of practice as quali. So, and I've spent a lot of time this week on Sandown instead of here, so that could be also the difference.
Yeah. So the only reason I say that is, when we see you qualify well, is when we see you fighting up at the front and fighting for podium positions, and when you don't qualify well, it goes one or two ways. And like you've just said, first half of the season, you could qualify badly, fight your way through. We'd watch you in some really good battles, and you'd finish, 4th, 5th, 6th, something like that. Second half of the season, if you qualify bad, you get taken out, and your race is over before it started. So yeah, I know you split yourself between different series, and obviously Scops is your main thing. But yeah, I would implore you to put some more into practice and get that good qualifying time in, because that's when we see the best out of you.
Yeah, I'll see how I go. I'm just looking at our schedule to see what lines up next. But yeah, I'll see how I go. Spa falls on my final round of Scops, so that might be another race that I may be a bit slower at. But Donington is full ball for the final round, so I might be pretty good at Donington. Donington would be a track I'd like the most out of those two, just because I like doing UK tracks, and I seem to always be good at UK tracks. But
Yeah, I
I'll
love
see how I go with
Donington.
Spa.
Yeah, I think Donington is a great track, but then I'm a weirdo. I like Spa, and I don't know why, because
I don't
I'm
dislike Spa. Just I have not driven the new Spa at all, so it'll be interesting.
right. Okay. So let's see. The results all show that you started 8th and finished 9th, which isn't a bad thing. But we didn't see a lot of you, apart from that incident right at the start. How did you find this track? Because I've said to a couple of the other drivers, it was one of the tracks that I don't know a lot about. Apparently, we've raced here before. I can't remember it. Tyler did really well, so that's probably why I don't remember it, because it doesn't happen very often. But was it a driver's track? Was it a track that you just had to put up with and hope for the best? Knowing that you had limited practice time on it. Yeah, how did you find it?
For me, the track is all right. It does require a lot of flow. If you do muck up like one corner, it will stuff you up for the next few corners. The car seems all right. Around here, the traction zones are a little bit sketchy at some point, but yeah, no, I like it. But yeah, I just didn't really have the pace. Just looking at the fastest laps from the race itself, I was like 1.1 seconds off Simon. So I was like, yeah, I had no pace. But you guys were right when I was sitting behind Rich. I was fuel saving because
Yeah.
after that incident at turn 1, I was like, that's it. I'm fuel saving this first stint to see how far I can stretch it, and I was happy to see that I was the last one left. And then it allowed me to go full throttle for the rest of the race. So yeah, that was alright.
Yeah, and obviously full throttle was still rubbish because of you passed the lap time. You know,
Yeah.
if there was a B series, mate, we'd have to relegate you now.
Yeah, I got like halfway through the race, and because I wasn't really doing anything, I was just by myself, being bored. So I had lots of things to think about. I was like, I wonder what would have happened if I had not been knocked out at turn 1, if I would have been able to keep up with the top 5, because I reckon I would have been able to be top 5 today. But yeah, I don't know if my pace would have been good enough or not. But yeah,
Yeah,
in hindsight, it would have been good to see.
Yeah, we'll never know the answer to that because of a lap 1 incident. But you know, it happens, and you know, I've had private chats with drivers in the past, not recently, because I think the league has been a lot better. You know, where race after race after race, they've had bad luck and things like that. And I always say to them, you know, eventually you come out the other side and then you'll have a string of races where everything goes perfectly. So yeah, keep your chin up, mate. You know, it'll all work out well in the end. So any shout outs you want to give before we let you go?
Yeah, everyone in the league for showing up this season, you guys for the broadcast, everyone over at Wheelie Bins that keeps us running, and Simability for sponsoring the season again.
Excellent. Well, always a pleasure talking to you, mate. And thanks as usual for staying up late or getting up early or whichever way round you do it. And we wish you the best of luck at Spa.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Vincent Skilbeck, we wish you good night, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is for you, and we'll catch you later.
See ya.
Right, guys, interviews over. And now it's time for us to put the icing on the cake and do the hardest job of the night. And I'm going to start with you, Tyler. Your driver of the evening and why?
Well, I fear I may be picking the one you were planning to pick because it's not a winner. I think that my driver of the day is Stacey Boyd for grabbing a pole, first of all, which is not easy to do. He didn't manage to bring home on the podium, but given the 3 drivers who finished in front of him, I think he had a stellar race and you know, didn't really put a foot wrong all day, which is hard to say for a lot of this field.
No, I can't disagree with that one. Sam, shall I just put your vote straight to Alex?
No. I have 2 to decide with, and I will put the first one. And if you say no, not that one, I will go for the second one. Tyler.
What?
Yeah.
Can't. No.
Okay.
It's driver of the evening.
Well, he's a driver. He's not racing, but he's a driver, and he helped us in the booth. So I tried. Okay.
I'm gonna veto that one too, Sam.
He's
Okay.
he's lazing it out in the booth, pretending he's got a sore toe.
Yeah, I knew it was gonna be a no. So that's why I planned a second choice, which is in fact the first choice. The new driver, Gerard, for completing the full race and only 1 lap down, which is kind of amazing for a first enduro race, being the first race of his career in V8ESC. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that one as well. And thankfully, you two have made my choice really easy. I was stuck between 3 drivers. One was Sam's choice, which was Gerard, because we all know what it's like to join a new league. And a league that's been established as long as this, and drivers that come back season after season after season. And the amount of times that we've sat in the booth and watched new drivers make a couple of mistakes and quit. So Gerard was one of my choices. Tyler picked my second choice, which was Stacey, because again, I know Stacey put it on pole, which is a great thing to do anyway. And the race probably didn't pan out the way he thought it would, but a pole and a fourth position is absolutely great in this series. So that was two of my choices out of the way. So I will give it to my other choice, and it's somebody that I actually mentioned during the broadcast, and that's Rich Jameson. I've watched this season Rich crash quite a lot. But tonight I did focus on one of my screens on Rich quite a lot, and I was very impressed with what I saw. Some really good battles, putting his car in the right place to defend, not over defending like people do. I do. So yeah, I think my driver of the evening will go to Rich Jameson. So yeah, that's that sorted out, guys. I personally was impressed with the racing on that track, considering I thought it was going to be fairly rubbish. I'm definitely looking forward to Spa because I do love Spa to drive on. I think Spa looks brilliant, and Tony hates it as well, which just makes it even more enjoyable for me. Tyler, your closing thoughts on tonight's racing?
Yeah, I thought it was a good time. Definitely one of those where you kind of highlight that you don't need to have constant battles to have a good race, and the strategy was fun and great to follow. So I had a good time.
Excellent. And Sam, from a cameraman's point of view, wasn't too difficult for you tonight, but there was still some action to follow.
Still some action. Extremely busy at the start, and then more focus on strategy and a few battles from mid-race onwards, which is always the case with endurance. So yeah, really good racing. Impressed by the league standards still, even if we've done this for years now. But yeah, it's great.
Excellent. Right, guys. So just a reminder to everybody, we are back on November the 23rd from Spa. And that just leaves me to say thank you to the drivers that put on the show for us. We are nothing without these drivers. Thanks to Tyler for joining us in the booth. I mean this in the nicest possible way, but I hope at Spa he's not in the booth and he's back in the car. Thanks to Sam for doing the cameras. We do enjoy it when Sam does the cameras because it takes the pressure off of us, because we know we're looking at the right things on the right track in the right universe. And thanks to Simability for their continued sponsorship of the league. So I should say goodnight. I shall let the guys say goodnight and then we'll close. So good night, everybody. Thanks for watching and stay safe.
See you, everybody.
And good night, everybody. See you at Spa.